Folks, we got to get angry again. They always tell us, settle down, don't get angry. You're supposed to get mad. You're supposed to get angry. Walter Burian is the first person to talk about the comprehensive annual financial report. I mean, now they've had the former auditor of the Air Force come out and say it's a great idea. They've had governors come out and talk about, hey, let's use all this investment surplus to fund everything, similar to what goes on in Alaska. So it's really gained ground. And I've been to a lot of political events. I've seen C-SPAN calls. I've seen the governor of Texas question about it. These giant slush funds of money that is off budget. So you only hear about the budget. Oh, there's no money in the budget for potholes. There's no money in the budget for schools. There's no money in the budget for state teacher pensions or police pensions. Meanwhile, they have all these separate investments, and universities have got them, school districts, water districts, tens of thousands of government institutions, more than tens of thousands. And Walter's got all those numbers. So, Walter, you're investigating. You're looking at this. You're fighting tax increases in New Jersey on the talk radio, and then you get a copy of the big kahuna, the hidden in plain view, comprehensive annual financial report. Go ahead.
Now, I got a copy of that report, and I called the two DJs, John and Ken from 101.5, and I said, John, I got the holy grail of accounting in my hand, the state's comprehensive annual financial report. Let's go live on the air. He goes, well, come on down to the studio, and we'll see. Went down to the studio, showed him the report. He goes, yep, this is it. And I showed him the bottom line numbers. He goes, ooh. So for the next hour, we sat there reading out the bottom line numbers with me giving out analogies. That was the last live radio interview that station did. They were doing live interviews every single day, 2 or 3 a day. But when I came up with the comprehensive annual financial report and started qualifying the scope and degree of the money that was being held by the state, and went live on the air, and 101.5 had about 5 to 7 million listeners daily. They got calls from their sponsors, pharmaceutical companies, large construction groups, other different companies. If you ever let that guy on the air again, you're going to lose all of our sponsorship. Now, that ended any live interview. The reason they called was, they were quite aware of how much money was involved and how much money was flowing through governments, cities, counties, states. And a lot of them had, there was a lot of grease on the skids, and they were getting millions of dollars, if not hundreds of millions of dollars, that the public didn't even know existed in the first place. And
because government was investing the tax money with them.
And spending the tax, no, it's not just tax money. When you look at a comprehensive annual financial report, about 1/3 of the gross income is tax income. The other portion is broken up primarily. The primary income now is investment income.
Yes.
Then tax income comes second, and the third is enterprise group income. So when you see a budget report, these budget reports are selectively created to show where tax income is brought in and tax income is spent. So you go over a budget report with a fine-tooth comb, and it looks like government's surviving on tax income. When you look at the annual financial report, you see a whole different world. You can have a state saying, oh, we're $700 million short on a budgetary basis. We're going to have to raise taxes and lay off a few teachers and da-da-da-da-da. And you look at the same exact local government's annual financial report, they could be $2.5 billion in the black. It's the definition of a shell game. And the Silas's golden rule were, no mention of the comprehensive annual financial report for 65 years. Keep in mind, the start back in 1946 required the full cooperation of the syndicated media, controlled education, and both political parties. They were included in on the game for the last 45 years, sent copies of all the reports, and they knew it was sacrilege to make open and conspicuous mention of these reports. Now, a lot were cooperating with the game, laughing all the way down to the bank as they spent the money or had the money invested in their new projects, real estate ventures, and everything else. And the ones that thought it was wrong, they knew that if they mentioned it, they'd find themselves out in the back alley getting their you-know-what kicked. And,
all right, stay there, Walter. Back in 1 minute. Fire out your website, though, for people that may be leaving us. Give us your website.
Oh, it's Caffer1.com.
Great. Walter Burian is our guest. If you just joined us, like XM does in the last hour, Walter Burian worked as a commodities advisor, worked on the stock market, and he found out in 1990 when he was battling tax increases in New Jersey on syndicated radio and local radio, that there was something called a comprehensive annual financial report, a double set of books that were the profits of government investment. This isn't tax money. It isn't pensions. It isn't what you're told about in the budget. It's the real set of books. So, Walter, recap that and give people the history of the comprehensive annual financial report. This started in Chicago with the 1313 Mafia model, and then explain how it's spread out and why this is so important, this shell game where they're cutting off teachers, shutting down state parks, national parks, firing over half the police in some areas, not fixing sidewalks. But meanwhile, the government is just rolling in deep, deep wells of money. Go ahead.
Okay, just one correction. I was a commodity trading advisor and never traded stocks. I follow the stock market.
Okay, a commodity trading advisor on the thing. Go ahead.
Yeah. Just one key point here. When I started National Disclosure, I started National Disclosure in June of '98. And I would get a call from school teachers from around the country, college professors, and I would mention to them, your school district puts out a comprehensive annual finance report. I said, could you see going to your 8th grade class saying, hi, class, here's our school's budget report, and here's our school district's comprehensive annual financial report. Let's see if we can spot the differences. They'd find their walking paper so damn fast they wouldn't know what hit them. The colleges, especially these colleges that are saying, oh, we have a shortfall of our budgetary basis and we have to raise tuitions by 15, 20%, cut back the teacher salaries. If you look at these schools' endowment funds, okay, I looked at ASU in '99, they had $11 billion in their endowment fund, okay? And here, at the same time, they were saying, oh, we have a shortfall of our budgetary basis. We're going to have to raise tuitions by 8%. Their endowment funds generated more in return than all tuitions collected combined.
Yeah, that's why they're into football teams and the school, because it's not even real. It's just a front. It's like UT, last time I checked, over $60 billion in one slush fund. They finance sports teams, Clear Channel Radio, and again, it's water districts, school districts. They've all... Just they take our tax money, they invest it, and then now the investment's bigger than the taxes. They rule everything, and that's not enough. Now they want all the roads. Now they want license plate readers. Now they want just the total raping.
It all boils down to the money involved. Everything is done due to the money involved. Nothing more, nothing less. Smoke screens are put up left and right to keep the public looking off in left field as these guys are cutting $100 billion deals in the other side of the field, with the public being entertained in la-la land, never thinking of the basics. Now, I've had thousands of phone calls from people all over the country. Oh, my school district's raising our taxes, the county's raising, the state's raising our taxes, this, that, the other thing. And I'll stop them for a second, and I'll say, okay, I have a couple of questions for you. And they'll say, okay, what? I'll say, do you know how much cash you have in your pocket? They say, yeah, why do you ask? I said, well, do you know what your checking account balance is approximately? Yeah. Why? Well, 2 more questions. Do you know what your value of your investments are? Yeah. And what about your net worth? Do you have a good idea what your net worth is? Yeah. And they'll say, well, you just called me about your city raising your taxes by $40 million. What's their checking account balance? Don't know. Take a guess. Can't. Don't have a clue. What about their investments? How much they have investments total there? No idea. Take a guess. I can't. Why? Don't have a clue. What about their net worth? And they'll say, no idea. Take a guess. Don't have a clue. Can't do it. They refuse to even guess. So here, the basic fundamentals that is with every one of your listeners, since they're little kids up until when they die. I don't care if you're 5 years old and opened up your first lemonade stand, you made $5.80. You count it 10 times. You know exactly you have $5.80. In college, you decide to start trading the markets. Well, my account's $34. Oh, let's stand to $30.
But we don't know, but we don't even look at what the government's really got. We just believe the budget they show us. Stay there. Long segment coming up.